So I'm going to call this Memory Monday because it's Monday and it's not Thursday, so we can't do the whole Throwback Thursday thing. The reason I'm calling this particular video Memory Monday is about 15 years ago, we sent out a monthly newsletter. It was called the Renegade Marketing Nation Insider Letter. Really kind of an early iteration of this inner circle group. And it was a printed newsletter that we sent out because that's what technology allowed. And I pulled one of these out. This is, again, probably from 12 or 13 years ago. We sent them out every month. And I just read through it to see what were we telling people, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, even 20 years ago, and is it still relevant? So just really quickly, I'm going to run through some of the things that we talked about because it's kind of one of those things where what's old is new again. With all this noise out there in marketing, social media, all the digital stuff, just all the things that are coming at people, it's kind of funny that to break through the clutter, maybe we have to take a few steps back. So let me just run through a few things on here. Hopefully you'll find something that I talk about to be of value. Let's just see what happens. So the first thing that I wrote about was what happens when they raise their hand. That was the title of this article. And what I meant when I wrote that article is, we spend a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of money. We spend just a lot of resources trying to get a potential customer client to finally raise their hand, literally like raise their hand and say, hey, I'm kind of interested. You should start marketing to me. And it's not always just like a raise of a hand, but it's, maybe somebody actually calls your business. Maybe they send a text. Maybe they email. Maybe they make a comment on social media. Maybe they walk through your door. Literally, the question that we were asking at that time was, so when somebody does finally raise their hand, responds to your marketing, basically, like what happens? Is the phone answered fast? Is the message responded to quickly? Is the person greeted, with enthusiasm and excitement and optimism if they come through a door? What really happens? And one of the truths that we found out back then, and I'm sure it doesn't happen to anybody here, is a lot of businesses who are spending all of this time, energy, and money to get people to finally raise their hand. Some were actually doing nothing. They weren't even responding to people, or they were responding slow, or they were, in their mind, they were thinking things like, that's a stupid question, or, why did they call so early, or how come they haven't called back, or things like that. At any rate, one of the questions you want to ask yourself, and maybe create a small process or system, we'll talk about some of this later, is, what happens when somebody raises their hands and expresses interest in your product or service? Do you have a process, a system? Do you have anything that like automatically happens every single time without fail? So think about that. The second page of this thing, we talked about sales. And this one, I believe, is 100% still true. And you can decide if it's still relevant, today in 2026 or relevant to your business. But what we talked about was just some simple statistics. So I'm going to read them to you really fast. Most of you have already heard this, but it's worth hearing again. 2% of sales are made on the first contact. Meaning you market, you get people to raise their hand and all that sort of stuff, and certain people, they just automatically buy. And if you're in a situation where you're actually doing a sales presentation, a service presentation, here's why you should choose us type of mode, 2% first contact, 3% second contact, 5% third contact, 10% fourth contact. 80% of sales are made on the 5th through the 12th contact. Yet, 48% of people in the world of sales, and we all are, 48%, literally, they give their presentation, they do their thing, they respond or whatever, and then they never go back. There is no follow-up at all. If you want to set yourself apart, we've talked about follow-up before, is follow up. Look, I'm saying is it fair to follow up twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times when 80% of the sales are made on the 5th through the 12th contact? Something tells me that following up, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 15 times is appropriate, especially today when you can use text, phone, email, in person, DM. There's so many different ways to follow up. Anyway, just ask yourself, how do you feel about the contact or the I'll say attention that you give a potential client once they raise their hand and you've done your presentation. Maybe they said, no, not right now, I want to think about it, I need more information, whatever it might be. And just ask yourself, are you staying with them, or are you dropping out after that second, third contact? Maybe they didn't respond to your email, maybe they didn't return your voicemail or something. Are you just quitting? Successful people who like kill it in sales, they're not stopping at number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5. They got this formula. So anyway, we were talking about that in the world of sales. I think that it's still true. Just one more comment on that. One of the favorite quotes, one of my favorite sales quotes, can't remember who said it, but it's, just because you're ready to sell today doesn't mean that they're ready to buy today. Doesn't mean that they're not going to buy. They're just not ready today. So stay with them, follow up, contact 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 times. On page 3, I'm kind of running through this to see what is really in here. We had a headline that said the 10 biggest sales mistakes revealed. I'm not going to take the time right now to go through all 10 of those, all 10 of these, but I will touch on a couple of them. The first one just said, gosh, here's a big mistake. Just plan. Get ready, get prepared, do all your homework, do all that sort of stuff. And just wait until everything is perfect before you actually try to make that sale and make that contact. Why is that a big mistake? Because one of your competitors probably is just going to pick up the phone, walk in, send an email, and they're going to go ahead and just get it sold today while we're still in our planning process. Beware of that. Plan. Pull the trigger fast. Iterate after that. What's another one? Wing it. If you're, selling a product, a service, if it requires, at least some sort of presentation, some sort of communication, just wing it. And what I mean by that is heck, you've been doing this for a really long time. I've been doing this for a really long time. I don't have to prepare, or I don't have to know very much about this particular client or potential client. I'll just walk into it and just sort of see what happens and go with the flow. Why is that a mistake? Because there's something that you're doing in your sales process, I can't tell you what it is today, that works nearly every time. Ask yourself, when you do this, and then you follow it with this and this, you get the sale. When you kind of veer off over here or veer off over here, maybe it takes longer to get the sale. Maybe you don't create quite as much certainty in the mind of that potential client. So the point is, choreograph some sort of a sales process, even if it's how you respond to an email or a text. Step 1, step 2, step 3. Find something that works most of the time or works better than the rest, and then just continue to do that. Don't just try to figure it out on the fly every single time. What else do we have here? This is pretty important. Remember that when you're in a sales situation, your number one job is to sell something, okay? It's not to make a lifetime friend. It's not to have endless conversations about the weather. It's not to show people how amazing you are and have them impressed with all of your brilliance and all that. When you're in a sales situation, the ultimate goal is to get the sale. I will honestly say that if I'm in a situation and I know that it's going to be a sales situation, I assume before I ever start. Some of you who know me probably got this, but I presume from the start that the transaction is going to happen. I'm not there just for the fun of it. The client, the potential client, they're not there for just the fun of it. So I assume that it's a sale until ultimately I get told that it's just not going to happen. So anyway, when you're in a sales situation, this isn't rocket science, just remember you're there to make a sale. It's okay. At the bottom of this one, it says features tell, benefits sell. And what I mean by that is I'll just give a fast example. It's probably on one of these sheets. But anyway, a lot of companies, tout we've got 25 years of experience, or we have this degree, or we have this certification, whatever it might be, and that is important to you, and it's actually kind of important stuff. But if we don't tell the client why that is valuable to them, then all it is words. We have 25 years of experience. So ask yourself, like, what's the benefit that you can offer by virtue of that 25 years of experience, or 10 years of experience, or best recipe, or whatever it might be. If you're using experience as one of your, we'll say, a feature of your business, maybe take the next step. The benefit of that experience is you've seen just about every situation. That being the case, you already have in your arsenal of solutions and outcomes. You know how to get there faster. You know how to avoid the pitfalls of doing it wrong. You know how to make sure that whatever service you're providing really is at the highest level, because you've literally run into almost every situation there can possibly be out there. Okay, so that would be the benefit of those 25 years. You can make up your own. If you want to go super deep, think in terms of, here's the feature, 25 years of experience. Benefit is that experience allows us to move you through the process quickly, easily, without like learning together as you go through the process with the client. And then the benefit of that benefit is because of that experience, you can do it faster, you can do it better, you have seen most of the situations that you're going to walk into. That means that you can likely deliver the solution quicker, at a lower expense, maybe longer lasting. And that's actually the benefit of the benefit. So to summarize that, the feature, this is what we have. The benefit, this is what's in it for you. The benefit of the benefit, this is what's in it for you, and this is how it will benefit you even more. What's the benefit of the benefit? Most companies or most people never get to that step. We're going to move fast here. Ella is on the other side of this camera, and she's holding it. Her hands aren't shaking too bad, so if the video gets a little bit shaky, you can blame it on Ella. You good over there, Ella?
Yeah.
Okay, Ella's good. The 3 C's to sales success. Again, maybe a little bit heavy on sales in this particular newsletter, but the 3 C's. Number 1 is confidence. People expect and need you to demonstrate to them that you are confident that you have the right solution, that you're confident that you know what to do. Using things like, well, gosh, we could try that, or, I'm not sure if it will work, but hey, maybe we can just go down that road or something like that. If you're using words like that, the maybes, the mights, the hesitations, that does not create confidence in the mind of your potential customer client. So you want to be clear, state clearly that yes, I can, yes, I know, yes, this will work, I'm positive, whatever it might be, but be confident in when you're talking about solutions. 2, certainty. If you're working with a client, you've demonstrated the confidence. When you offer the actual outcome, the solution, they're looking for certainty. Again, almost like number 1, but they want you to demonstrate to them that you are certain that this is the best decision for them. You want them to feel like you are certain that they are making a really good decision. Sometimes it's as simple as saying, look, I know you've looked at some other companies. I know you probably have done some shopping around. I'm certain that this solution is the answer you've been looking for, and I'm confident that it will get you the outcome that you're looking for. And then you can talk about maybe a few of the features, a couple of the benefits. At any rate, confidence number 1, certainty number 2. Number 3, and I'm gonna wrap this up after 3, but I got 2 or 3 more pages in this thing. Again, this is like, these are tips and tools and tactics that we were sharing, I don't know, 10, 15, 20 years ago. It'd be cool if you actually get this far in the video to let me know that if you think this stuff is still relevant. I do. In fact, I'm certain of it. Anyway, the 3rd C, first one was confidence, second one was certainty. The 3rd one is control. And when it comes to the sales process, the the place where we're actually having a conversation. It can be by email, could be by text, could be in person, can be by phone, could be by Zoom. So many choices these days. But the third C is control. Imagine that. Here I am sitting in the control room. And my point there is that people who are looking at your product, evaluating, whether you're the right choice, evaluating whether this is the right product, whatever, they do want you to control the process. If you don't, they'll do it themselves. The challenge with that is, since they rarely buy the service or product that you offer, they really don't know how to control it. So they're gonna leap to things like, well, what's the lowest price? Or how fast can I get it? Or I've heard about this, or can you give me this? Because they don't know what else to do. A true professional, I'll say, salesperson takes control of the process. You ask the questions, you guide the process, you make the suggestions, you literally follow the choreographed process to take them down the path to help them make sure they get the information they need to make a really good decision. And it can be as simple as when you get into that sales situation, it can be as simple as literally saying, super excited that you're interested in our company, our product or service, whatever it might be. Here's how we do it. The first thing that we're going to talk about is this. The second thing is this. Third thing is I'm going to ask you 5 or 6 questions. Fourth thing is I'm going to tell you whether I believe we actually have the solution, and if it is, I'll tell you what that solution is. Sixth thing is I'll open this up to questions. Now you can ask a question any time in between, of course, but we're going to go through these steps to make sure you get all the information that you need to make a really good decision. And you know what? Most people will say, okay, cool. Let's go. I promise that most of your competitors are not. They're asking them questions like, well, gosh, what do you really want to have happen, or whatever it might be. If you take control of the situation, tell them here's how it's going to go, and then follow your steps, the odds of you actually, 1, demonstrating confidence, 2, demonstrating certainty, but 3, and most important, is actually getting the sale or getting the transaction, is extremely high. Now, really fast. We have way more pages. We'll talk about those on another day. But my big question at the end of this video is I called this Memory Monday. Do you think, or do you feel like some of these things that are again, thoughts, at least of mine, that are 10, 15, 20, maybe even 25 years old, do you think they're still relevant today? I happen to think that they are. In fact, I think that a lot of businesses right now are getting tired of fighting all the noise and all of the digital situations they're running into and all of that, and they're getting back to some of these basics. So anyway, let me know what you think, or if you've got some old antique cool thing that you do in your business that is still successful today, it'd be cool if you would share it. Hey, this was my very first Memory Monday. Ella, thanks a ton for being on the other side of that camera.